Howdy gamers, in this video I'm going to be talking about why to run certain runes on Vi, not so much what runes to run outright. So with Vi, she's in a really awkward spot. She's one of the lower tier junglers. So she really needs to be doing really impactful things as fast as possible. So like the keystone options on her, I suppose would be Conqueror, Hella Blades, I guess Aftershock, and then maybe Electrocute, maybe Predator, and then also maybe Phase Rush. My thing is with Vi is that other champions, most champions in the jungle want to be using either some sort of utility burst or sustain rune, and with Conqueror being like the most dominant, Vi doesn't use Conqueror that well as it takes her too long to build up, and then once she's built it up, there really is no reward for doing so because she's already procced her W by that point. You might get a second Q off, but the bonus AD gained doesn't go as far on her. And with Vi too, she needs to stick onto a target. If you have an ideal scenario, obviously like when you catch someone out, you could catch them out with a Q, auto, E, auto, and then maybe auto, and then as they ult, or as they run away, then you ult them, and then you continue to auto them. Like Conqueror would give you some okay value there. The page in Conqueror also isn't that bad, but it's just so hard for her to build it up, and then once it's built up, the reward for doing so is a lot lower than other junglers as they get second rotations of their abilities off, and then it's just more impactful. Champions like Elise, they have more DPS, and then they also have a second rotation of their abilities coming up, which Vi just doesn't because she's a terrible champion. But anyways, with something like Electrocute, it would give you more burst onto one target, but you could achieve the same thing but better with Hella Blades, because even though you could have more burst with, like, let's say your Q, auto E, auto ult or something, or your ult, Q, auto E, auto, having more burst onto the target versus having the more auto attacks, I'm pretty sure Hella Blades is going to be giving you more damage almost every single time. Since Vi's building AD, you do just have more damage on your auto attacks. Since you have the 3-hit proc with the W, Hella Blades just has to be dealing more damage than Electrocute. But kind of like Conqueror, you would get higher value out of Electrocute if you are just catching the enemy outright, but the times in which that happens is very slim. With something like Predator, it could be okay, as one of Vi's problems is like actually getting into lane. But with Vi, once you're in the lane, you do have to ult onto them to get onto them, and then once you do that, if they're kiting away, if they're on tower, it doesn't matter that you got the extra distance on them. Like, you can't just ult them under tower most of the time. So like Predator becomes a worse version of like a like Gragas or something. With Aftershock, like, you do gain extra survivability, but the utility in doing so isn't so high, because pretty similar to why Conquer would be bad, even if you build this up, the extra damage is kind of whatever. And then with Aftershock, even if you're surviving in a fight, the utility in doing so is kind of whatever. The highest utility of Aftershock is so that your team could deal more damage as you're surviving. And that's really not so useful on Vi, because Vi is a bruiser champion, and you might as well have picked a tank to do the exact same thing in that case. So I think that the best keystone for Vi is going to be Hella Blades. With Hella Blades, you gain 110% attack speed whenever you attack an enemy champion for up to 3 attacks. And then the cooldown of Hella Blades is only 8 seconds out of combat, so you could gank a lane, walk into river, fight the jungler, use Hella Blades again, and then run top or run to another lane and then gank again, and then Hella Blades would be up on every single one of those fights most of the time. Even in a like extended skirmish, you can get Hella Blades up twice, which is really, really solid for Vi, because again, you don't get 2 rotations of your Q off until way later into the game. With Hella Blades too, you also just add more burst damage onto the champions that you're actually hitting. So having more damage on them means that you're more likely to kill them, or just dealing more damage puts you in better map states, or makes your ganks more effective even if you're not killing the target. So it's really just the only way to get extra value out of Vi, especially early game, from the runes. With Hella Blades, it puts you in the domination tree. Cheap Shot is really good for most junglers, but with Vi specifically, I think that Sudden Impact is completely fine. With Sudden Impact, after you exit stealth, use a dash, leap, blink, or teleport. Dealing any damage to a champion grants you 7 lethality and 6 magic penetration for 5 seconds. And with that, you just get access to more damage. And whether you're using your Q, your flash, or your ult to get on top of a target, you are just adding more rotation to your full combo. And with that lethality, it's going to be giving you more damage on your auto attacks as well. So you're empowering Hella Blades with that in combination. So Hella Blades plus sudden impact is just more damage. For the third rune, I think that Eyeball Collection is your best bet. You're really choosing how you get the bonus attack damage offered from these three. With Zombie Ward, it's through clearing wards. With Ghost Poro, it's through placing wards. And then with Eyeball Collection, it's through getting kills or assist. Since Vi is like this lower MMR, like farm heavy into like gank level 6 jungler, I think that Eyeball Collection is completely fine because your ult should guarantee a kill. And running the domination tree as well gives you more access to damage to guarantee a kill. And then the reward for doing so is getting more AD through Eyeball Collection. So it's just a solid rune, and then gives you a little bit of snowball potential from it. For the fourth rune, you have okay options in like Ravenous Hunter, Relentless Hunter, and then Ultimate Hunter. With Vi, I don't think that you need Ultimate Hunter, as even when you do gank, I think that you should be looking to full clear into gank, into full clear into gank, into full clear into gank. So having your ult up a little bit sooner would mean that you would just like maybe skip one camp, but it would be like off cadence with like how you're moving around the map anyways. And then having your ult up more often also doesn't really guarantee a kill. It's really about how the map state is and then being in the right position at the right time. There's very few situations in which you actually need Ultimate Hunter. You're also going to be building a lot of cooldown reduction in the early game anyways with Warrior and Trinity Force. So 5% cooldown reduction on the ult, and then having to stack up Ultimate Hunter. By the time you would have Ultimate Hunter stacked up, you would probably have 20% CDR anyways. So what's the point of having like 9% CDR on the ult? Not much. So I think that Relentless Hunter is going to be probably the best bet. The damage that you could heal from Ravenous Hunter probably isn't so useful since you're looking to burst a target anyway. So it's just like you're going from 100% HP to probably 0 almost instantly. And then if you're not, then you've already spent all of your damage anyway. So Ravenous Hunter wouldn't be healing you that much. With Relentless Hunter, you get 10 out of combat movement speed. So, and then this also stacks up on Bounty Hunter stacks. The Bounty Hunter stacks are unique kills and assist on enemy champions. So killing the top laners one, getting a kill or assist on the junglers one, mid lanes one, etc. So it's very easy for a jungler to stack this up as you can gank almost any lane. So the out of combat movement speed is going to help you move around the map, position for ganks better, because if you're just moving down the lane or into the lane faster, then you're more likely to have that gank be successful or not be seen, or, you know, just be in a better position faster makes things way more in your favor, way more likely for a gank. And then if you're moving or responding to things too, then it's also better just to be faster versus not. And Vi is a really slow champion, so it does work pretty well for her. For the secondary runes, you have okay options with Nimbus Cloak and Water Walking. I don't think that Vi needs this though, as you're either going to kill the target once you get on them or you're not. Other champions use Nimbus Cloak a bit better. Other junglers, I should say, because Nimbus Cloak is really strong for junglers because you can proc it on your smite. So whenever you would blue smite, you're slowing the enemy and then you get more movement speed towards them. With Vi, it's not so useful because you need to be landing your Q on them, or else you're really not a champion. With Water Walking, it's also... Water Walking's fine, but Nimbus Cloak kind of low value. And then the Resolve Tree is just not so useful. Something like Bone Plating Overheal could give you more HP, but it's really just should be asking like, how do I get more damage? As that's what Hella Blade's Sudden Impact is providing, and that's really what you're looking for the runes with Vi, is just more damage, as you can get more defensive utility through itemization than you can through runes for Vi. So I think the best way to get more damage is with the Precision Tree, as you can get Coup de Grace. With Coup de Grace, you deal 8% more damage to champions who are below 40% health. Since you're dealing so much burst damage to them with Sudden Impact and Hella Blades, Coup de Grace is going to help you finish them off, whether it be with the W proc or with just your auto attacks. The 8% damage increase is pretty good for Vi, as usually you just need 1 or 2 more autos to finish the target off once you've initially bursted them. And then with being in the Precision Tree second, you have okay options in, I suppose, Alacrity, Tenacity, or Triumph. But I think you should be looking to take Triumph. Alacrity and Tenacity are kind of just luxuries. Having the extra attack speed, you're going to buy attack speed anyways, usually with Trinity Force. So getting it from the runes is really a waste, as you're trading off the HP gain from Triumph to do so. With Triumph, takedowns restore 12% of your missing health and grant you additional 20 gold. 12% of your missing health is really important, as you're usually bursting one target and then going out of the fight for a second as you're waiting on the Q cooldown and then going back in. So as you burst the target and then look to leave the fight, the extra HP regen is going to help you stay alive. And if you're staying alive, it's obviously just better versus having like a little under a dagger worth of attack speed in the early game. It's really not worth it. And then the Tenacity, since you have so many ways to dodge CC anyways in Vi's Q and then with Vi's ult, I don't see it being that necessary. If you're going to get Tenacity, again, just do it through itemization. It's less expensive for Vi to do so. For the shards, I think that attack speed, adaptive force, armor is going to be the most basic. I think that scaling health and armor isn't so bad, but with attack speed, adaptive force, and armor, it just helps you clear the jungle faster and then take less damage from it. With scaling health, though, it makes it so that scaling health plus armor, it makes it so that you are just a little bit tankier. Since you're going to be building AD early, it's a way to get like a little bit more defense once you're around like level 6 to like 10-ish. So I think a default is just easier for attack speed, adaptive force, and armor. But if you're more experienced on Vi or are playing a more farm heavy style, then armor and scaling health is just better. It has to be. But if you're ganking pre-6, then adaptive force and armor is going to be a bit better, as you're just going to have 6 more attack damage to play with. So default, I would recommend armor and then scaling health, as you're going to have enough damage through Hellblade, Sudden Impact, and then Coup de Grace anyways, that missing out on that 6 attack damage isn't going to make or break things. And being able to survive longer might equate to more damage in a lot of cases for Vi. Surviving longer, like in terms of like 1 auto attack, not surviving longer with something like Aftershock, where you could survive like 3 auto attacks but then deal no damage because of it. So yeah, that's really my thoughts on Vi runes. In terms of like Vi top or Vi mid, I don't know. It would probably be something like Dark Harvest, but I really don't know. Yeah. So yeah, again, I don't think that Vi needs like a Nimbus Cloak or like Water Walking, as it's really just about having more damage once she's in the fight and then more survivability. Being able to stick onto a target she's either going to or not with her Q, flash, and ult. So I don't think Nimbus Cloak is as high value on her. And then Water Walking loses a lot of value because you're not skirmishing for Scuttle against a lot of champions anyways. You're looking to full clear and then probably take dragons around them. Something like Inspiration Second, you could get like free boots and Cosmic Insight, but the utility in the 5% cooldown reduction isn't going to be good enough, fast enough, because Vi's cooldowns are too long anyways in her Q and then in her E. So I think that your best bet is just getting the effective HP with Triumph and then Coup de Grace. And then for the primary runes, I think having more burst with Hellblades and Sudden Impact is going to be outweighing everything else that's offered in the other runes, whether it be the extra DPS from Conqueror, where you have to stack this up before it's useful, and then once it's stacked up, it's not so useful for Vi because she's on cooldown at that stage. But it's not a terrible rune for her. It's just that the burst from Hellblades is so much more useful in the early game that it's going to just be better, because you're better off getting the value that Conqueror would offer in healing and extra AD through your itemization than you are through the runes, because Hellblades exist basically. Something like Phase Rush would help you like run down a target, but since Vi already has her ult anyways, I don't see this being that useful either. But it's not terrible. And then something like Aftershock, being able to survive longer is okay, but you might as well be playing a tank anyways, as Vi just has 80 ratio and only functions with 80 items, so she is a bruiser and should be played as such. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Vi runes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I try to answer all of them. If this video helped you, leaving a like on the video helps me. If you don't subscribe, I mean, I'll find you in game and I'll just give you a lot of tips on how to improve at League of Legends. So if you don't subscribe, watch out on the Rift, man, because I might find you and I might give you some positive feedback. Beware, okay?